Hello everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw! We are taking a look at every set that has been released in Pocket, and I'm going to rank them here on our tier list. Taking a look at our tiers, we have our God tier. We only have one pack in our God tier. We're not friggin' Norse around here. S tier, some of my favorites. A tier, very, very good. B tier, still got the B tier. These are fine. And then the C tier, the Charizard tier. I don't think we need our D tier, aka the Dragonite tier for this one. I don't think they've had a set in this game that I really haven't liked at all. I think most of them have been pretty dang good. Let's start from the beginning. The first set ever released in Pocket was Genetic Apex. And I think Genetic Apex was actually a really great set. It, of course, brought a ton of Kanto Pokemon and fan favorites, right? You had Pikachu, Mewtwo, Charizard. It was a 3-pack set. It was not only used during the soft launch, but it was used just as the first set in the game. And it had the longest time, I want to say, in between sets. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it was slightly longer from Mythical Island to Spacetime. But I think this was an amazing starter set for the game. It kept the game simple and approachable, and I think they needed to do that when they started Pocket. Their idea behind this game, obviously, was to get a lot of people who had never really committed to a TCG or just wanted kind of a mobile experience with that to hop in the game, see how much people enjoyed battling, see how much they enjoyed collecting, and kind of really figure out what the future of this game was going to look like. I think they didn't throw in any concepts that were way too difficult to understand. There were some pretty cool combinations early. You know, you had kind of a Mewtwo Gardevoir, you had a fast-paced Pikachu deck, you had that, you know, really strong hitter with Charizard able to KO anything in the game in a single hit. You also had a lot of other fun EXs. You had Blastoise and Venusaur, and you kind of had like some cool setups with grass decks that made them very powerful, and a lot of good trainers. You even had some kind of fun stuff that really hasn't been as relevant in a while, but like you had like the Koga wall, you had Dragonite and things like that. I enjoyed Genetic Apex a lot, and I really think they made a pretty amazing start to the game. I don't know if the first set could ever be S tier. I think the only way that would be the case is if every other set that came after it was bad. And I'm glad that that's not the place we're in for Pocket. So I think Genetic Apex was very, very good. Then we had Mythical Island, the kind of mini set that was released around the game. I think at first I would say this was probably A tier, but since it's gone on, I think my love for it has fallen a little bit. It for sure introduced a lot of great mechanics, and I do like that every set seems to introduce enough newness where the meta will shift, some old cards could become very relevant, and enough stuff where if you're just hopping into the game, you're still able to make some cool stuff. So with Mythical Island, I'm going to put it in our B tier right here. I think it was good. We had Gyarados that was very powerful. We had Druddigon, which was a whole meta. We had Leaf, which was like insanely good. I do think this was a pretty solid set. Not my absolute favorite. I'm going to pull up a couple more cards from it. I looked at all of these earlier and kind of came up with my rankings, but I remember there were a few other ones I wanted to call. Oh, that's right. Celebi Superior was also a big part of that. We didn't have a lot of lightning love in the pack, and I think overall the EX Pokemon were fine. Mew EX like saw some play, but doesn't seem to be that relevant anymore. Aerodactyl was kind of cool. Pidgeot was kind of cool. Both of them not super good. This was the set that had Marshadow in it, which I thought was really, really fun for fighting decks. This set also had Pokemon Flute, Budding Expeditioner. It had Mythical Slab, which was fun for a moment there. It had Blue, which didn't ever really become a super relevant supporter card. So I think this was, it was an all right set and a nice little addition to Genetic Apex. It really did feel like a natural extension of what Genetic Apex was doing. Then we had Spacetime Smackdown. Spacetime Smackdown was the first big set released after Genetic Apex, right? This was a 2-pack, Dialga, Palkia. This set had a lot going on with it. We had Infernape EX, Yanmega, Shaman. We had, of course, Palkia, Manaphy, Magnezone, the Magnezone that made Magneton super relevant, Togekiss, Pachirisu, Gallade, Weavile, Darkrai EX, which was, I mean, was and still is amazing. You had Skarmory, which was really cool. Dialga. Then you had some, like, you know, Licky Licky was pretty underwhelming as an EX Pokemon, but... Oh, and of course, Rampardos in this set. Plus, it had Giant Cape, Rocky Helmet, and the supporters in this set are absolutely insane. Cyrus, Dawn, and Mars, plus the 2 tools added to the game, plus Pokemon communication. Like, this set was legit nuts. I think this has probably been my favorite set. It's definitely up there. I think Spacetime Smackdown was very S tier. I will say, I thought the meta became a little stale, mainly because of Magnezone from that set. However, it felt like it released so many cool things and shook up the meta in some really exciting ways, right? Like Cyrus alone is a meta-shaking card, but this had so many different cards that really changed the dynamic of a Pokemon Pocket match, which I thought was really, really cool. After Spacetime Smackdown, we had Triumphant Light, and Triumphant Light was an interesting one. There are elements of Triumphant Light that I love, so this was like the Arceus set, right? The thing I loved about Triumphant Light, I do love a mini set that feels like it is sort of set up around a specific, like, style of play or a specific new thing added to the game. So I liked that we had Carnivine, Heatran, Raichu, Abomasnow, Tyranitar, Crobat, Magnezone. We had all of these cards that directly interact with, like, the star of the set. I thought that was really, really cool. This set, I think for EX Pokemon, had some good ones and some underwhelming ones, right? We had Leafeon EX, Glaceon EX, Garchomp EX, which actually ended up being pretty good. Probopass, not so great. And then, of course, Arceus, which was insanely good. I think for supports, it was underwhelming. We had Irida, pretty good for water decks. Celestic Town Elder, extremely specific and kind of fun, but extremely specific. Berry, which actually ended up making Snorlax a thing, which is cool. And Adaman, which is just kind of bad, in my opinion. So I think this, it feels a little like Mythical Island. I do like it more personally than Mythical Island, but I don't think it was a stellar set either. This is going to hang out in the B tier for me. I think I like its gimmick more, like the Power Link Arceus gimmick, and I wonder if we're ever going to have new sets that, like, work off some of our existing gimmicks, like Ultra Beasts and Arceus Power Links and stuff like that. I don't know if we ever will. This was, like, good, but not an absolute home run for me. However, this is one of my favorite times with deck building, I feel like. Between Spacetime and Triumphant, those were some of my favorite decks that we got to build in the game. Next, of course, we have Shining Revelry, a set that kind of dropped, it dropped because of Pokemon Day. Triumphant Light was Pokemon Day. And then Shining Revelry we thought was going to be later, if I'm remembering right. But it came out faster than we expected. A single pack set that introduced shiny Pokemon to the game. This is interesting. So let me go through the EX Pokemon here really quick. The EX Pokemon are Beedrill, loved playing with it. Charizard, EX, didn't get good until later. Wugtrio, crazy fun. Pikachu, actually not too bad. Lucario EX, kind of bad. Clodsire EX, kind of bad. Tinkaton EX, relatively bad. And then Bibarel, which is the bottom of the Bibarel. I think that one's terrible. Maybe a double colorless energy in the future will change that. Who knows? And then supporters, we had Iono, Pokemon Center Lady, Red, and Team Rocket Grunt. Actually, some really fun supporters in this set that I liked a lot. And of course, a Pokemon I did not list, which is Giratina EX. Giratina EX is insane. That's been one of it's maybe the best EX card ever released in the game. It has to be, right? It's ludicrous, and it made so many decks, and in some ways that was quite cool, and I do think a lot of what was added here was also pretty fun. Like, Meowscarada was a huge add in the game. I thought that was massive. Fighting-wise, we really didn't get much at all in this set. Lightning, you got Pachirisu, which was kind of cool. Palmot is fun. Water, you got Wugtrio, and that's really it. Fire, you got Stokechar, which didn't become good until the next set, which is kind of fun that something like that could happen, right? Beedrill, I think, was a really, really fun card. Overall, this is probably my least favorite set. Also, the introduction of shiny Pokemon, while cool, all of the shiny Pokemon that we saw in here, well, most of the shiny Pokemon we saw in here, maybe it's all, actually, are new. Oh, I think they are all new shiny Pokemon. Moving forward, they bring shiny cards in that are not new, which I think for some players would be cool, but for longtime players, you're probably disappointed unless there's a shiny that you absolutely love. So this is my least favorite set that they've released, is probably Shining Revelry. Even though I feel like with every set, I've enjoyed some of the gimmicks, and I've had a lot of fun building decks with more and more cards getting added to the game. This felt like I don't know, this set feels like it had the least going on with it to me. But a fun, like Team Rocket Grunt was pretty fun for a while. Then, of course, after that, we had Celestial Guardians, which is our Gen 7 set, right? It had Decidueye EX. Dhelmise EX. It had Talonflame, Incineroar EX, Turtonator, which was pretty cool, Alolan Sandslash, Ninetales, Poplio, Crabominable, Wishy-Washy, Alolan Raichu EX, Oricorio, which was pretty crazy, Togedemaru. We had the Tapus in this deck. We had Lunala EX. We had Solgaleo, which is obviously amazing, Alolan Muck, Passimian EX, you know, we had some really fun cards released with this. And of course, you can't forget some of the supporter cards. Ilima, pretty powerful. Kiawe, specifically for Turtonator. Guzma Lily, extremely good cards. 2 new tools in Poison Barb and Leaf Cape. And then we had the Rotom decks. Fishing Net, extremely specific. Big Malasada, doesn't seem to find much play. And of course, I avoided talking about the card of the set, which was Rare Candy. Rare Candy was absolutely insane and meta changing. I don't think I loved this set as much as Spacetime Smackdown, but it's the next best set in the game, in my opinion. I might put it high A tier, low S tier. I think Celestial Guardians was incredible. It opened up a lot of new ways to play the game. And yeah, I mean, for me, this was an extremely good set, especially with a gen that is not my absolute favorite gen. Like, I didn't have a lot of love for Solgaleo or Lunala. They've never been kind of my favorite Pokemon. It was cool seeing Decidueye added to the game. That was like a really cool addition for sure. I do think some of the EXs were not so great. Like, Dhelmise is bad, but Incineroar, pretty good. Wishy-Washy and Crabominable are not good, but fun. Like, I like both of them. I played Wishy-Washy the other day in ranked. It's bad, but it's fun. Passimian, awful. Muck, not so great either. But Solgaleo, great. Toucannon was really, really good. And of course, again, the huge meta shakeup with Rare Candy, I think, was probably necessary for the game. And then finally, we're heading on to our most recent set, which is coming to an end very soon. That is Extradimensional Crisis, which we should, not coming to an end, but we have a new set that we'll be releasing later next week, I believe. So, Extradimensional Crisis, a lot like Triumphant Light, right? This has a specific sort of mechanic or type of Pokemon, I guess, that it's based around, which are Ultra Beasts. We had a non-EX Decidueye. We've got Buzzwole, Pheromosa, Kartana, Blacephalon, Xurkitree, Celesteela. I'm trying to see all the Ultra Beasts. Nihilego, Guzzlord, Naganadel, Stakataka. So, a lot of really cool Pokemon with a mechanic where certain cards would influence them, right? We had multiple trainer cards that would. We had the Beast Wall, the Beastite, Lusamine, and I'm blank on what, I guess kind of Celesteela, right? It wasn't a trainer card, but it also had an ability, Ultra Thrusters, that interacted with all the Ultra Beasts, which I thought was pretty cool. The EXs from the set, Buzzwole, Tapu Koko EX, Lycanroc EX, Guzzlord EX, Dugtrio EX. So I think overall, there are 3 decent ones, right? Tapu Koko, Buzz, and Guzz are all pretty good. Lycanroc is terrible, in my opinion, and Dugtrio is bad, but fun. So, I don't love it from an EX standpoint. entirely. However, the EXs I really like. This set also has Looker, which is the worst supporter card they've ever released. It has Lusamine, extremely specific but very good. It has Gladion, extremely specific but ludicrously good. A few other things released in the set. The Silvally line, which is unbelievable and could be one of those cards that is around forever. Electrical Cord, which was quite good. Repel, which I think is underrated. I really like that item. Stoutland is a fun line in this set. What else has been a fun line? Crocodile's fun, but not amazing. Passimian fun, but not amazing. I haven't really messed with Palisand. Oh, we had Shinotic, which actually made some really cool waves in the game. Zeraora, kind of a fun card in this set. And then the rest of it's sort of filler. I don't know if I said Blacephalon earlier, but Blacephalon, you know, works with the Ultra Beasts. I would say overall for me, this one's probably high B. Again, all of the mini specific sets have their moments. Maybe this one's closer to A. I've really enjoyed it. And I think these specific things are cool. What I'd hope for in a new set moving forward is that we have not only things that are created in a specific set, like Ultra Beasts, the Link to Arceus, things like that. I would hope that we sort of keep that vibe moving forward and they add a little bit to it as we go. So you go, oh wow, there was something new for Ultra Beasts added in the next set, and cool, there's a new like Arceus Link in the following set. I think things like that would be awesome. If I had to put one in the God tier, for me, I do think it's Spacetime Smackdown. I think it's probably going to depend on, you know, your like entry point to the game. So I'm curious to hear your rankings in the comments. If you want to tell me your God tier, or even list out all your rankings from, you know, S all the way down to C. You could let me know what your favorite was, what you think was pretty bad. For me, this is about how it lines up. I think Shining Revelry was my most like, Spacetime Smackdown and probably Celestial Guardians were the ones I was most pumped for. I liked all of the mini sets, but I didn't like go crazy over one. And then Genetic Apex, I think, was just an amazing start. So there are all the sets ranked for Pocket. I'm excited to see what this next one will be. I'm guessing it's a 2-pack set, right? There should be a bigger one coming. I don't know what direction they're going to go, because I felt like they threw a real curveball with Celestial Guardians. I didn't expect Gen 7. I feel like at some point they're going to sort of do a set that isn't mostly Gen focused necessarily, but maybe it's mostly thematic. Like we have an Eevee set, an Umbreon, and a Sylveon. Like if they did an Umbreon Sylveon pack, holy, I think people would go nuts for something like that. But let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. New set soon, which should be pretty exciting. Love you guys. Oh, and if you're wondering why there was a little drought of videos last week, I was at New Orleans for the North American International Championships of Pokemon, which is really cool. And they're going to have a Pocket event at Worlds, which should be sick. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.